Hello everybody, welcome back to Paleo Springs, or more accurately for this episode, Prehistoric Parking Lot, because we are going back and redoing the entrance once again in the second episode here, but it's okay. So I got some comments in the last video that you all wanted to see the parking lot of this building that I created that's up on the workshop with the rustic theme as the entrance. So that's what I'm trying to do here, is blend the two. And I'll be honest, this first part of the video doesn't end well. It ends up crashing about halfway through, or about a quarter way through this episode, but it's okay. So what I'm doing here is I'm replacing the trees. So what I had here before was birch and bald cypress, two of my favorite trees in real life, which is why I used them here in this parking lot. But to fit more with the redwoods theme, I'm deciding to go with the fern trees and the redwoods here, and you'll see I fill in all of these with some of those fern trees. I also use a little bit of the new rhododendron. Fun fact about rhododendron that I haven't heard anybody else say on YouTube just yet is that rhododendron, if you look at the tree, it has the branches almost look like they've been scratched by cats. And I remember when I was a kid, I was at camp one time up in North Carolina, and they told us specifically don't get rhododendron to burn in the bonfire, which seemed weird as a kid, but come to find out, and I found out the hard way that night, because someone in the camp did actually get rhododendron to burn in the fire. When you burn rhododendron, it produces a toxic gas and can make you very nauseous and very sick. Now, I'm replacing the bus stop to make it more of that rustic theme. So again, I'm using those new textures, those new pieces. And this is where I started to realize this was going to be a little bit harder than I initially thought it was going to be, because for some reason, this asset that I created was completely off of the grid. And I don't know how, I don't know what is causing this, but somehow it got off the grid, and it became a lot more challenging than I initially thought that it was going to. But I think that it still turns out pretty okay. Fortunately, though, these bus stations are just mirrored across, so I could just create one and then mirror it across to the second one here. I'm trying to use as many of those new pieces as I can. I love these new little thin branches that hold up the awning there. And looking at it now, I should have gone back and replaced the lights on this building. I forget to do that in the end, but I do with the actual entrance itself. But yeah, so I'm going through here and replacing with a lot of the wood, a lot of the stone that they have in the rustic theme. And I'll be honest, it's actually kind of hard to use this theme to build with. For whatever reason, it's a lot more difficult. I'm looking at a lot of reference photos here of national parks, but where I live in Florida, it's very different from these sort of redwood forests. We don't have redwoods here. We have pine trees, of course. We have a lot of pine forests and a lot of pine flatwoods, but we don't have these redwood forests, which are very iconic for Northern California. This is about the part where it crashes. So for whatever reason, again, this whole asset is off of the grid, so I'm trying to make do with what I can here, and I eventually get frustrated and impatient, and I try to delete the entire thing that I think you'll see in a couple of seconds here. And that, for whatever reason, was the error. I think it's a glitch. I think it's a glitch, and I'll try to report it after I post this. But yeah, for whatever reason, deleting a whole bunch of stuff here in this prefab just caused the game to crash. It did not like it, and I eventually got it to work. I had to reload the game, and yeah, you'll see right here it crashes. And what I ended up having to do off screen is delete small sections at a time, and it ended up working, but it still froze the game and almost crashed. It didn't crash again, but it almost did. So here again, I'm trying to use those new textures. I end up going with just this white concrete like I had here previously. I think for the pathing, the white concrete looks the most sort of generic in a good way. I don't want the path to be so extraordinary that it takes away from the rest of the build and detracts from everything else. So what I'm ending up doing again is leaving that white concrete here and just trying to make it work. Again, I absolutely love the new stone here, and trying to do kind of what I did in that first build is inset the restroom there to sort of make it so that it's not at the front of the building like it is with the original blueprint that I have up on the workshop for this entrance here, or the more modern style one, which again I still think is one of my best builds. The rustic redo here I think is pretty good. It's not my best, but it is I'm happy with it here, I'll say. We may come back through, not in the next episode, but we may come back through eventually and redo some things here. Here you can see, again, just like in the last episode, trying to create that welcome screen like you would have at a zoo or a movie theater or something like that. At this point, I realize I need entrances. And looking back at it now, I probably should have made this a 2 by, what is that, 3, 4? 2 by 4 instead of a 3. But it's okay, I go back through and I actually delete that center entrance there. So I also, again, having trouble using this new theme, trying to figure out exactly how to make stuff. I end up going through, and looking here at some of the prefabs that Prehistoric Kingdom has. Now, they redid all of their prefabs, and they are so much better than anything that they had in the game before. And I mean, if you used only the prefabs, kudos to you, because it's hard. It's not hard to build, but it's challenging to get the styles right for some things. So yeah, the rustic theme is just, for whatever reason, not the easiest to build with, and those prefabs are just so superb, so superior to almost anything that I've built so far. I think it'll be a little bit better once I get to the actual exhibits of the park, which will be the next episode. We won't do another entrance episode for episode 3, I promise. We'll talk about in the live play after the speed build here some of the ideas that I have around some of the animals for this park. Since it is in Northern California, that redwoods theme, I'm thinking that we're gonna stick with some of the Cenozoic, some of the Ice Age mammals here. I think it kind of feels right for this. And because they just announced that the cave bear is coming in mid-December, hopefully. So the cave bear, I think, would be a absolutely necessity for this park. So we'll talk about at the end what happens with this park and sort of where I'm thinking the cave bear and everything can go. But definitely let me know your thoughts in the comments about what animals you would like to see here. Now, what I'm doing right here is I noticed in a lot of the prefabs, they have sort of a double roof situation on a lot of these rustic buildings. So I'm trying to create that here, just sort of this overhang to give you more of a sense of where the building is fronting. And again, these pillars wouldn't have just been stuck in the ground. They need some sort of support, so I'm giving them concrete bases there, and I think that looks really, really nice. Here you can see I'm playing around with one of the kiosks here, and you can see just how beautiful these new buildings are. Again, I think we'll go back through and redo a lot of stuff here. I'm actually leaving the backstage of this prefab exactly the same. Because in my mind, the backstage is the backstage and none of the guests are going to see that. And to me, the backstage that I've built previously looks just generic enough with the metal and the metal and corrugated plastic, I think is what I used. Metal, concrete, plastic, stuff like that. Very generic, very bland, but in my mind, for a backstage area, that's kind of what you want, because you're not going to be going back there, unless you have like a behind the scenes tour or something like that. I'm also thinking too that eventually we'll create a education complex for this park. Maybe right off where the bus station is, we'll have an area where a school bus can come through and drop off kids, and maybe park the school bus there so that the kids can go and have a really nice sort of experience here at this park. I think if this were a real park, that would absolutely be a necessity. You can see I'm saving here after the game crashed and became a little glitchy when I was starting to delete things. I didn't have any problems here, but it spooked me enough where I wanted to save the game as many times as possible. So here we are making the sign here, and again going with the Paleo Springs as one line and the state parks as the other. I think this is probably the best solution for it because it is closer to the way that I have the logo made sort of in real life right here. One of the things that I thought would be really cool is if you were to walk in and you were to see all of these decals, I think is how they're called, decals of these animals up against the wall here, and sort of walking in the same direction into the park like you would be, sort of stylized. I also saw that in update 13, I believe is the next one coming out, 13, 14, when they release the cave bear, they're also adding stylized cutouts of these animals, and I'm really, really looking forward to that because I know there's a lot of zoos and a lot of state parks and stuff that have sort of that same style of stylized, sort of almost watercolor cutouts for their animals, and I'm really excited for that. We'll actually be using those almost everywhere, I think, and we'll be using a technique that you can see over on ZSH Plays that does a lot of the Planet Zoo, where he'll double up those and make them look almost 3D. Now, obviously, in Prehistoric Kingdom, we don't need to double them up. We can just expand them out and make it be a little bit thicker than they would be otherwise. Again, super excited for that. Here I am just kind of looking around and making sure everything looks okay and looks correct. I'm playing around with another prefab there just to see if I kind of got the style right. And again, it's not 100%. It's pretty close, I think, but could definitely be better, and we'll probably come back through and do that. But I think I'm going to leave it here and finish out this speed build, and we'll jump back in the live play here at the end of it. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the rest of this speed build here. Alright, so here we are back in the park, back in the live play, and you can see that I've added some of the pine trees here so that when you come down, it's nice and closed in with the forest. I think this looks pretty good. Again, it could have been better. I added these nice little rustic lights here on the entrance itself, added the nice cave bear sculpture there right at the beginning. And if we come on through, what I've done here is tried to mark out where things are gonna go. So in these two squares here, this is gonna be sort of our main entrance, our main plaza. And I think this is pretty much similar to what we're gonna have with the old prefab, is a restaurant here and then a gift shop right in here. I'm using the dirt as the pathing, and you can see it kind of gets a little crazy here, a little spaghetti-like, but I do this because we can use these as foliage breaks here in the actual pathing itself, so that this isn't all just one giant pathing parking lot. Basically, we already have a parking lot, we don't need another one. So coming in here, we have 3 exhibits that we're going to be building that I've marked out, and we can see the measurements for this first one. is 5,600 meters squared. The other one here, 4,100 meters squared, and then the other one is 15,100. So let me know in the comments what you think we should have here. I'm thinking this over here is going to be the cave lion, the panthera. Maybe over here we'll have the cave bear right at the entrance. That could be pretty cool. This area here, should I leave this as a forested forest foliage break, or should I have this as maybe an aviary of where we have Microraptor or Archaeopteryx? Maybe that can connect to this building. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I'm thinking here 15,000. Let's see. Does it say in the Paleopedia Brontosaurus? Let's see. Okay. Wow. Yeah. So we could actually have Brontosaurus or Apatosaurus right here, right as people enter the park here. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Are you team Brontosaurus or are you team Apatosaurus? Which one should we put here in the park? But that's where I'm going to leave it here. So thank you again so much for watching. There's a million things you could have been doing today, and you chose to spend it here with me for this quick little episode. Thank you again for watching, and I will see you all in the next one.